This is Jim Rockford. At the tone, leave your name and message. I'll get back to you.
The Rockford Files wasn't just a detective show. It was a piece of TV magic that felt like an old friend coming into your living room each week. Starring James Garner as the laid-back private investigator Jim Rockford, the show stood out for being funny, warm, and down-to-earth.
Now, who are you anyway? Do you always come equipped with smart remarks, or you're just showing off?
Why don't you guys go back to Disneyland and leave me alone, huh?
It aired from 1974 to 1980, but its charm has endured far beyond its 6-season run. What made The Rockford Files so different from other crime shows of the time was its refusal to follow the usual cliches. Jim Rockford wasn't a tough-as-nails private eye with a slick office and a penchant for violence. Instead, he lived in a scruffy trailer parked on a Malibu beach. He avoided fights whenever possible, and he didn't even carry a gun, unless you count the one he kept hidden in a cookie jar for emergencies. His cases? Often messy, low-paying jobs that no one else wanted, and when things went sideways, which they often did, Jim didn't rely on brute force. He used his wit and charm to get out of trouble.
Give me a dime, I'm gonna crack you open like a piggy bank.
Well, I hope nobody forgot the peanut butter sandwiches.
If Agent Slater lays a hand on me, I'm gonna close up like a cherry stone. You're gonna be talking to my lawyer.
Oh, Tom Little, the great cream spinach flinger, gave you his word. That ought to be good enough.
The show's creators, Roy Huggins and Stephen J. Cannell, designed Rockford as a modern-day spin on Huggins' earlier creation, Brett Maverick, another character James Garner played so memorably. Maverick was a gambler in the Wild West who preferred brains over brawn, and Rockford carried that same spirit into the world of 1970s private detectives. Even Rockford's name came from a practical, behind-the-scenes decision. Cannell simply picked it off a list of Universal Studios employees. One thing fans loved about the show was the humor woven into every episode, but that almost didn't happen. Early on, network executives felt the scripts were too funny for a detective drama and wanted the humor toned down. Thankfully, Garner and the writers refused to budge. That mix of comedy and drama became the show's signature style, and it's what kept viewers coming back week after week. Garner's performance as Rockford wasn't just acting. It was like he was Rockford. His easygoing charm and sly grin made him instantly likable, and he brought an authenticity to the role that no one else could have matched.
I'm sorry. I guess I should have said 1, 2, 3, go, huh?
You're about as official as a Cub Scout at a rodeo.
Who's doing your material? It's really monotonous.
Yeah, I think I saved you from that, just to be gunned down by a couple of third-grade dropouts.
Now, if it's not going to tax your brains too much, I want you to close your eyes and count to 100.
In fact, the show borrowed a lot from Garner's real life. For instance, Rockford's license plate, 853OKG, was a nod to Garner's first acting job in August 1953 and his Oklahoma roots. Even his trailer, parked at Paradise Cove in Malibu, became as much a character in the show as the man himself. The show was packed with memorable supporting characters, too. There was Jim's dad, Rocky, played by Noah Beery Jr., who always wanted his son to settle down and get a safer job. Their father-son banter brought a lot of heart to the series. Then there was Angel Martin, Jim's old prison buddy, played by Stuart Margolin. Angel was a schemer and a coward who somehow always managed to drag Jim into trouble, but their unlikely friendship was one of the show's funniest running threads. And who could forget Sergeant Dennis Becker, Jim's beleaguered police contact and reluctant ally, played by Joe Santos. Their love-hate relationship gave the show some of its best moments. But the Rockford Files didn't just excel in characters. It was also way ahead of its time in production. The show's opening sequence, featuring Jim's answering machine, became iconic. Every episode began with a new, often hilarious message, from a bookie demanding payment to a wrong number for a dry cleaner. These quirky messages set the tone for the show's offbeat charm and gave fans something to look forward to before the story even began. The car chases were another standout feature, and they weren't your typical Hollywood stunts. Garner, a skilled driver and car enthusiast, performed many of the chases himself in his gold Pontiac Firebird. The now famous Rockford turn, a quick reverse 180-degree spin, was so closely associated with the show that it became a must-know trick for any stunt driver. Garner's love for authenticity even extended to avoiding blue screens during driving scenes, making the action feel real. Behind the scenes, though, things weren't always smooth sailing. Garner had a well-known feud with Universal Studios, accusing them of shortchanging him on profits. He also had run-ins with other industry figures. In one infamous incident, Garner punched producer Glenn A. Larson after Larson was caught plagiarizing scripts from the Rockford Files for another show. Garner's dedication to protecting the integrity of the series was just one more reason fans loved him. The show also boasted a who's who of guest stars, including Isaac Hayes, Tom Selleck, and Rita Moreno. Selleck's character, Lance White, was a hilarious contrast to Rockford, a perfect, too-good-to-be-true private eye who always seemed to succeed without even trying, much to Jim's annoyance. Rita Moreno won an Emmy for her role as Rita Kopkovich, a prostitute trying to go straight, proving that the show wasn't afraid to tackle serious issues while still keeping its lighthearted touch. While the Rockford Files came to an end in 1980, its impact didn't fade. Garner reprised the role in a series of TV movies in the 1990s, bringing back many of the beloved characters and resolving some of the show's loose ends. These films, though a bit slower paced, captured the same warmth and humor that made the original series so special. Looking back, it's no wonder the Rockford Files remains a classic. It was funny, smart, and unlike anything else on TV at the time. For fans who tuned in every week, it wasn't just a show. It was a slice of life with characters who felt like family. Whether it's the sound of that answering machine, the roar of the Firebird, or Jim's famous grin, the Rockford Files has left behind a legacy of comfort, humor, and a reminder that sometimes the best detectives are the ones who don't fit the mold. Now it's time to hear from you. What are your favorite memories of the Rockford Files? Was it the hilarious answering machine messages, the iconic car chases, or Jim's unforgettable one-liners? Share your thoughts, favorite episodes, or even a fun fact we missed in the comments below. Let's celebrate the legacy of this classic show together.